Do you mind if I turn that sound off? Is everybody cold, cold, cold? Anybody cold, cold, cold? Okay, bits and pieces.
Hello everybody, my name is Georgi. I'm coming from Bulgaria. It's a country in Eastern Europe, quite a small one, but a beautiful one. And I've been lucky enough to meet Gesha Michael back in 2011 in person. It was the moment when they first made their DCI course in Bulgaria. Before that, I had the chance to get familiar with his books when they were first translated in Bulgaria. So last year was the first time when I visited New York, and we were just at one of the DCI courses with Geshe Michael, and he said, Georgi, you're going to New York. I have a very good friends there at the Three Jewels Outreach Center, so I think it's good to give a talk about something that you feel like close to your heart and your mind as well. So I used that opportunity and actually talked a bit about how starting a company, because this is something that I do as my day job, like running my own small company, can be a good way to practice karma and all the principles behind that. And it's kind of intense way to do it, because almost any aspect of your life that you have, you can apply it in business, and in a much more dense and short period of time, you have the chance to actually apply the principles in karma. And the diamond cutter. It was like, I think 15, 20 people last time, and I still hope to see some of them here, because most of them, or some of them, got notified that I'll be here, because they actually asked me to come again and talk if I had the chance. But even if not, like, I'm very happy to have, four of you here, and Hector, and Steven, and everybody else who actually helped this to become possible on a very short notice, because due to some communication, it actually turned out that I notified them just a few days before my arrival that I'll be able to be here and talk with the people. So the topic of the today's session, I think, would be about work, and in how in your daily life and in your daily job you can actually apply the principles of the diamond cutter, and how you can solve some kind of challenges or, say, problems or tasks that you have about your work. I saw just right after Hector added me on Facebook, and Steven added me, that he has given a TEDx talk very close to that topic. Yes, so it was such a nice serendipity, and I also relied to his help whenever I need it. I hope.
I'm all yours. You're a Dharma friend.
Before actually starting, I would imagine this more as a Q&A or a discussion format, but I really want to share a few things before we start with that. So how many of you have heard about the diamond cutter and Geshe Michael? Geshe Michael Roach? Okay, so how many of you are aware of the principles of the seeds, karmic seeds? Okay, so I will start with a brief introduction on these topics. It's maybe one of the basic examples, but it's very, very, how to say that? It's a huge honor and at the same time obligation to explain about that, because this is the favorite topic of Geshe Michael. Whenever he got invited to TV shows and programs and people want to ask him about money or business or something else, he starts not answering their questions directly, but choosing to speak about the pen first. So what's the idea behind that? So what do you see here, all of you?
Pen.
It's a pen, right? So what can you do with a pen?
Right.
You can write, right? But if a dog comes in the house and here in our room and it sees a pen, is he going to write? Is it going to write with it?
No.
So is it really a pen for the dog? So our perception about what we can do with that is actually what's making it pen. So for the duck, it's a chewing toy, something that it can put in his mouth and chew on, right? Are we on the same page on that? So the question is it a pen or a chewing toy? It's both, and it depends on what? The perception, or on who is actually perceiving it. So for us, if we can write and we can recognize that, it's a pen. But for the duck, it's actually a chewing toy. So what's the idea behind that? That actually every event or every person that we meet in our life or every situation that we are into bring the so-called potential of emptiness. So this thing on its own side is empty, and our perception of it is actually what's creating it. And the way we feel about it is a way of actually materializing and enforcing the perception that we have about it. So it's a very key concept, and I can't say it's easy to grasp. It's easy to grasp, but it's hard to apply, and it's hard to really believe that. Because in our daily lives, we got used to perceive the things as coming from the outside, and we are more like in a reactive rather than proactive position about that. So I'll give a very brief introduction about the concept of the mental or karmic seeds. You know, seeds in nature, you plant the seed and the plant come in later on, right? So you put a very small seed, but then a few years later, you got a great oak or sequoia or something like that. So the Diamond Cutter Institute and all these courses are about this kind of mental seeds and how we can apply this analogy to almost every aspect of our life. So there are the so-called 4 laws of karmic seeds that I would like to share a bit. So starting first things first, if we plant a tomato or a cucumber, what's gonna pop out? If we plant a tomato seed, we got a tomato, right?
Yeah.
If you plant a cucumber, we got a cucumber. If you plant a watermelon, we got a watermelon, and so on. So what's the idea behind this in real life? It's that the results of something that we've done in the past will be of the same nature as the deed that we've done. So the things that we experience are actually coming. The watermelon that we are eating is coming from a seed of a watermelon. So the kind of things that we experience in our daily lives are coming from things that we've done in the past, which is actually the seed planting process. The second law of karma and karmic seeds is that the result that we get is actually much larger than the actual seed planted. You know, as the analogy with the oak seed, it's so small, it's like a millimeter, but then you get a huge, huge tree out of it. So over time it grows, it brings its own potential, and it's get bigger and bigger. But it's also depleted, so this tree is gonna die into a certain moment. And then we have 2 very important principles. The first of them is that if we want to get a watermelon, we should plant the seed, right? We cannot just get the watermelon out of something or out of thin air. We should plant the seed for that. So the same principles apply in our daily life. If we want to achieve something, or if we want to experience something, we should plant the seed for that. And last, so to not to put in too much theory, if we have planted the seed for something, we will see it ripen. So basically, if we have done something, we will experience it returning back to us with a greater power. And this is typically perceived in its negative direction. You know, when people hear about karma, they're thinking about something bad, or most people, and like how they get punished about something or something like that. But it's equally valid in both directions. And let's see the positive and the negative ones. And whenever we talk about seeds and how we plant seeds, we should be aware of the ways how we can actually plant seeds. So there are the so-called 3 gates of how we can do that. First is through our physical actions, so the things basically that we do with our body. The second one is through speech, so the things that we speak. And the third and the most subtle one is through thoughts, the things that we thought about. So basically speaking, and not just basically, everything we do, we speak, and we think of plants a seed in our minds and creates the way how we experience things. And last kind of theory piece, before we go a bit more practical, is that these kind of deeds have a specific kind of different, we can group them in 4 consequences. So first, the things that we do, or speak or think, has the quality of becoming a habit. So think of it like that. If you have lied to your mom that you haven't eaten a second bar of chocolate, for example, the first time you feel like very, very embarrassed, but then you do that and nothing happens, nothing bad happens, so you're much more likely to do it the second time. This time not necessarily feeling that embarrassed about it. And it brings a bit of a risk that, starting to do bad things or things that we perceive as bad can become a habit. The good thing is that the same applies about something good. So for me, it's becoming a habit to come here every time I'm in New York. The second thing is that we start seeing the people around us actually doing this. So let's say that we get angry and we shout at each other, and step by step, piece by piece, we start to see people around us being more and more aggressive and fighting. And thirdly, the environment that we are in, like traveling to a specific place or our workplace situation or the town where we live in is starting to exhibit more and more of that quality that relates to the kind of deed that we've done. And last, the next form of life or existence that we're gonna take is also related to this kind of deeds that we've done, either through the body, the speech, or the thoughts. So for me, it's really a great pleasure to be here, and I feel like in this very intimate kind of environment, to be able to plant, I guess, at least a few very good seeds about speaking with people about that and trying sincerely to help with any kind of challenges that you may have in your work or personal life. So I have taken some notes and I would like to support myself with them a bit. Okay, so we just come to the part when I can actually start or stop talking a bit and just say that work, especially in current civilization, work and our work life is an essential part of our life. And this is one of the most intensive places where we can actually interact with other people. And because for planting seeds you need other people or other living beings to plant the seeds actually, it's a great place, and it's a bit dangerous place where we can actually interact with other people, and it's very important to be, to have integrity in our work life so we can feel happy and fulfilled. And as I said, as part of current everyday life civilization, and it's just an essential part of how we live our lives. So I don't know how many of you have read the Diamond Cutter book, but actually this is the place where Geshe Michael explains in a greater detail, like a lot of situations in business or work where you can find a certain kind of problem that you have and then figure out what the reason behind it is. So I've tried to learn as deeply as possible these things so I can apply it both in my personal kind of engagements with work, but also help other people if they have any kind of problem, to diagnose those and then find what's the right solution to apply in the context of the diamond cutter principles about the laws of karma and the karmic seeds. And before giving you the mic, I would like to say that my own personal motivation to start a company and to be engaged in business and in work and make it successful is to prove the world that business is not a bad thing, and it's not something about greed and power and or at least not this kind of greedy power to control people. It's more about a way of helping others being successful and doing something that you feel that way fulfill your life as well. So either being a business that you're running or a business idea, or more likely kind of daily life engagements that you have with your work. I would like to hear about that first, because this is how we define the whole session. And then if you have any kind of problems that you experience in your life and are hurting you, I would like to at least try to help with that. Okay? So please don't be shy. It's very important when you share that way, you're not exposing yourself as a weak person. I mean, it's exactly the opposite. Like you show that you have a strength to admit a problem and actually find a solution about that. And quite importantly, when you share something and when you're looking for a solution, you give a chance to the people who are a bit more shy than you and most likely have a very similar problem also to hear its potential solution. So who's first? I can think of many problems that everyday business or work life has, but I really don't want to drive this in a certain
I can go first. Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot.
I just came from a business meeting. I've got a couple of startups, and one of them is a coffee house with a partner who isn't keeping their promises. So we had an agreement, we had a negotiation, and about a year ago, and for the last year, I have been patiently putting up with excuses for things that do not meet the initial agreement, because I'm a good Buddhist and I'm a nice person, and I also know that there's some life problems in that other person that I didn't want to give undue pressure to. I knew if I gave them too much pressure they might. Today I tried a different tactic and it felt uncomfortable, but I did it out of the best motivation. So I guess my business problem is you enter into an agreement with mutual expectations with people, and you both know that things are flexible, things are forever changing. But at what point do you hold people to their standard, and what's the best way to do that? Yeah.
So with every kind of experience that you have, it's like the most important part is how this actually makes you feel. Because karma is a lot related to your feelings. Mm-hmm. So obviously, applying one of the laws of karma, the result that you get is related to a kind of the deed that you've made in the past, or you're continuously making on a very small scale. Yeah. So the fact that you're experiencing a situation where someone is not keeping his promises or is procrastinating something a lot relates to some kind of deeds, either of a great magnitude, but more likely of a very small magnitude that you do about not keeping your promises first. So it could be something related to your, daily or family life, where you're always promising someone that you're gonna do something about them, and you can actually misperceive how important this is for them. So it can be something very small, and you say, yeah, it's very small, okay, I can make it tomorrow or the day after, and they'll be happy about this. But someone else there stay and is expecting that you're gonna do that thing. And I would very humbly suggest that you just go through your life and look for things or small promises. They're like small red blinking dots. You don't actually ever forget them. So if you scan all the promises that you've made and try to actually keep them. It's going to plant a very strong seed, so you stop experiencing this. Also, sometimes it can be related with your what's your motivation to do something. So if let's say your motivation to do something is selfish, or you yourself would think it's a selfish thing, you can experience a situation where other people are not actually being or taking care of what the results of their deeds toward you will also be. So it could be that they're not really realizing, or the way you're experiencing it is that they're not really realizing how important it is for you to get these things done. And I will use the chance here just to comment that, as Geshe Michael Roach says, it's like a playing piano or some other kind of instrument. So all the things that we are going to talk about right now, they're not things that you do just like this. So you need to be very careful and diligent in a good way to monitor your own activities. And I'm sure you keep it, but I'll use the opportunity to say about that. One of the practices that's very useful in this kind of mental seed planting and gardening is to take some kind of small diary. There are different forms how you can keep it, but think of it like this. If you feel something is ruining your life, or you feel bad about it, you can think about what the relation is, what kind of deeds you do to actually experience this kind of thing, and then try on a daily basis to figure out what are the things that you do or don't, or you don't do in that direction, so you get this kind of purity about that topic.
That sounds perfect advice. Thank you. I have quite a few small red dots. I can see my motivation when I promise people meetings, for example. I get lots of people going, should we meet? And I use specific words that I know will take me off the hook later. I go, certainly, maybe on Tuesday we can meet. And for me, the maybe is, I don't have to commit. You know, if I need to exit, like I have that as a motivation, I can hear it in my head. And that came blinking up nicely. Yeah.
One of the very subtle things about they're like top 10 things that you can do with either your body or mind or speech, and one of them is lying or telling the truth. So one very subtle aspect of lying is that lying is not just telling something that's not truthful, but it's like creating in the other person the perception that you don't have in your head. So you can just drop a fact, but you know that the way how this fact is perceived by the other person is not actually truthful. So if you're thinking, maybe we can, if you're thinking, I don't want to meet those guys, but you say, yes, maybe we can meet, and they create this kind of expectation that they're going to meet, you're actually creating a false impression about that. And just to make sure I'm in no way perfect, and I'm on the path on learning and applying these things as well, so please, nobody don't get offended about the things that I'm going to say. These are the things, and also the experience that I also have, and I sometimes struggle, but I'm like trying to be diligent about them. And it's a long path to go, as I said, as going like and playing the piano. But even before you're like world famous piano player or composer, you can still enjoy the benefits of being a good piano player. So I would say, like, don't get discouraged that you cannot be perfect in any aspect immediately. It's a process, and your internal decision and motivation to actually do that is part of it. Then enjoying the process that's going on. Anyone else, please? Yeah.
Okay, based on the book, so it's basically about karma. If you want something, you have to give the same thing that you want, right?
Yeah.
So in life, we see people like our parents or grandparents. They are very generous. They're always, give no matter how big or small. But we don't see them getting richer and richer. Why?
So, thanks for this question. It's like in almost any aspect, either being rich or happy or healthy. I can say it's a mixture of a lot of things, and I'll try to go to most of them one at a time. So, as Geshe Michael used to say that you should do whatever you do with a very clear intention and technique to actually make it happen and give results in a short time span. So your intention is very important, but also it's important to be happy about the things that you're doing. So have any one of you heard about the concept of coffee meditation, the so-called coffee in quotes meditation? I don't know if it's a term coined by Geshe Michael.
Yeah,
I think so.
It is.
So the idea is that instead of like a traditional meditation that's very strict or something like that, it's a very easy going and relaxed one. And the idea behind is that just, without taking a special posture or even a place, you can just sit on your sofa with a cup of coffee and try to go through the things that you really enjoy in your life and in the deeds that you've made through the day. So it's a very important thing, because when you plant a seed, think of it like you plant a seed but you never water it and it doesn't see any sunlight. So it's like thrown on the road or in the dust. And hey, very nice to meet you. Yeah,
Sorry,
please join
such
us.
a small crowd here, but I'll join.
Yeah, sure. Much appreciated.
Okay.
So one of the important aspects is to be aware of the things that you do and to rejoice about them, because this is actually what gives them strength. And I see across a lot of people, including myself sometimes, that it's much easier. We have the habit of thinking of the bad things that we've done and feel guilty about them. And this kind of, think of it like that. There's a temple of the good and a temple of the bad. So like a shrine, like specific places, like an altar of the good things that you've done and an altar of the bad things that you've done. And you decide that tonight you're going to donate, and you're going to donate not necessarily money, but you're going to donate your mental power, your thoughts, and your emotions. And do you want to donate your mental power and emotions to the ashram or to the altar of the bad or to the altar of the good? So it's very important to recycle, in a way, the positive things that you do so they can gain enough strength. So this is one thing. The other thing is that obviously we feel all of our relatives very close to us, but they're separate human beings. So the way we perceive them is actually coming from us. Your grandparents or your parents can feel like a very, very rich people, but you are seeing them as not so rich. I mean, I know it's hard to believe and it's hard to grasp it that way, but at the end of the day, it's about your perception about that. And if you want to live in a world where you see rich people, you should try to plant the seeds for being rich, which is basically respecting the property of others in a very subtle way, in a very fine, great way. And as I said earlier, this is going to also reflect not just being rich yourself, but also seeing the people around you being rich. So it's still related to you and how you perceive them. Does this answer your question?
Exactly. Thank you.
So you're very much welcome. I just want to follow up something on that. It's always like we have this kind of, I don't know where it comes from actually, but we have this kind of internal feeling and longing to actually try to change the people around us, and even in a good way to help them sometimes. But it's like the way how we perceive our world is actually coming from us and from our hearts. And the best way really to see abundance in our life and in the life of the people that we love is to create it for ourselves. Okay? Don't be shy, please. You can take second, third turns as well. But I would really like everyone to be involved.
Lately, I wanted to do personal studies, but I can't even find the motivation to do my regular studies. So I feel like I'm falling behind. I know I'm falling behind, but I'm just not doing anything about it. I have no idea.
So it's a problem with your motivation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a particular idea about what you want to do or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. So at which stage you feel this kind of barrier? Like what prevents you from actually doing the things that you want to do?
Actually doing it, like thinking about wanting to do it, and then sitting down and actually studying.
And what you do instead of that?
Sleeping.
Just sleep?
Or just doing nothing.
So if I gotta try, the main problem that you feel is around like the energy level that you have, or not?
Sometimes.
So I think like I find myself that one of the most important things to overcome laziness, if we can call this just like that for a while, is to find the right motivation. So the right motivation, or the highest form of motivation, typically lies beyond just ourselves. So if you can think of like how the things that you're going to learn are going to help a lot of people, it gives you much higher level of motivation and responsibility at the same time. So you're not just studying yourself this extra or this regular studies because you want to learn something for its own sake. So you really want to do something with that, right? You want to be helpful to others, I guess. Even if you are fully or just semi-realizing it, I think this is the real motivation. So you actually want to do something good about other people, and you can concentrate on that. At the same time, you can try to find some of your peers or other people who have some kind of, shaky studies, where they don't want like actually spend a lot of time learning, and then help them doing the same. So you can basically try to talk with them a bit on what's their motivation, what they want to achieve, and this helps a lot. Yes, it's at the core of the system, and I also find it a lot of times for myself that it's much easier to do something good about someone else first. Then you get yourself allowance, and you get yourself the right level of energy and motivation to actually allow it and do it for yourself. You're welcome.
I don't know, maybe it's related. As far in work, nerves, when you're nervousness, when you're dealing with your peers or your superiors, and whether it's a meeting or anything where you feel very nervous, and then you lose your focus, and how do you deal with nerves in the work environment, or just in general when you're starting to, when you're overcome by it?
Yeah. So is what the nervousness is coming from? I mean, like, do you have like an objective reason to get nervous, or just in general?
I think, like in the field of work that I'm in, getting up in front of someone and having to speak about something, feeling the pressure and, oh, I might not be good enough, or, all these things, and you're not even thinking those thoughts, but you start to feel just your body, you feel it in your body, this nervousness. So how I guess,
Okay.
how would you say you could?
You got it. So is it like, do you also feel a bit like angry or any other kind of emotion, or you just feel like nervous for like?
Maybe the aftermath is anger at
At yourself.
myself for going there, because then I've lost the enjoyment that I could have had because of the nerves, and I haven't really been able to reach my optimal performance because of the nervousness.
Yes, as trivial as it may sound, and maybe I'll repeat myself a bit, but it's very important to stop doing things because you want other people to like you.
Mm.
I mean, it's even very logically, typically the reason for why people get nervous about something,
Right.
because they increase the value of, of what they want to be truthful about yourself. I mean, I'm sure that you're a great person and you have a lot of good qualities and everything, and you don't need to, seek for outside approval.
Mm.
This doesn't mean at all that you don't want other people to be happy or to, enjoy the results of your work. But yeah, I would suggest, if you're doing it, to stop thinking about the opinion of other people less and less. And also, maybe a bit to stop criticism. So if you are doing some kind of criticism towards someone else, either at work or at home or in your daily life situations, to get rid of that. Because actually, this plant the seeds to feel like other people are criticizing you or they are gonna criticizing you, like this kind of fear that you have of that. So think like open your heart a bit in direction to accept people the way they are. So it's an acceptance, I think,
Yeah.
because you actually want to be accepted the way you are, and you don't want to be perceived in a bad manner.
Mm.
So if I have to summarize, just stop, looking for, the good word of other people, and it's gonna come on itself when you stop searching it. And don't be criticizing people, especially in a way that might be humiliating them.
Mm.
No matter if it's in a work or like in everyday situations. Okay, does it sound good?
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up question on that.
Okay, sure.
What is the karma for criticizing others?
To be like you yourself.
Yeah.
Like I don't have out of the box answer, so I need to think about it. But it's like, if I got a question, it's a kind of like a second level question, like what makes you see yourself?
Yeah.
See criticizing others.
That's the question, David. What's that? Why is
Yeah,
the habit of?
because I sometimes think about these problems and it's like, I'll leave and I'll be like, you know what, I gotta stop criticizing people. But then I'm like, I can't. I just can't. And then I fail and then I'm like back in the same cycle.
So, what's the kind of emotion that you feel when you're criticizing people?
A failed attempt at superiority.
That wasn't criticism. That was just joy.
So, like as I just briefly mentioned at the beginning, most of the things that you do tend to become a habit. So I can say that the more you are criticizing people, the more you keep doing that. So I don't feel myself that there's any kind of specific seed about, because it's more like a habit. So the seed about a habit is to keep doing the things that you actually are doing, though you don't feel are right. So there's no easy way out of habits besides increasing your level of compassion. I think that one important thing that we all need to understand, and it's actually one of the most life touching and the changing things in my life, was when Geshe Michael Rowe said, when you walk on the streets and you see a lot of people, right? And someone is swearing, someone is running, someone is rushing, someone is taking their watch or watching something on their phone, running here and there in this rushing mess of people. And but at the end of the day, really the only reason why anyone is doing whatever they are doing is that they want to be happy. So I don't know how this resonates with you, but for me it was a very important thing. Because actually understanding that everyone wants to be happy is something that, you know, kind of make you feel much, much better about those people. And because you know that even if it looks like that they have a horrible motivation to do something, the real motivation that lies behind that is that they want to be happy. As explicit or harsh as it may sound, even a serial killer or a rapist wants to be happy. He just chosen the wrong path how to achieve that. But I do believe that, you know, in every person's gut and its heart and at the core, they want to be happy. And this is the only motivation that they have, no matter what they're doing. If they're running for a job interview, if they're going after a business meeting, if they're gonna do a presentation or come at a session, individuals, or making a presentation about that, they want to ultimately achieve happiness. And for me personally, and I guess, or I hope for most of you, this kind of creates this environment of compassion, where you actually understand that everyone else needs and deserves to be happy. So you restrain yourself from actually making things that make people feel unhappy and hurting them. This is more like a practical advice that I can give, rather than, you know, explaining the seed of seeing yourself doing something that you don't like yourself. Okay, does it answer the question?
Sure, John.
More, please.
I have problems like keeping focus too, or like concentrating on work or school or whatever.
Yeah.
And also like expressing myself in words. But that's not a problem.
So one of the things like related to that is actually trying, when you speak, to be very concise and you know, not making things that distract other people. So whenever you get someone else's attention, to make sure that you're not exploiting it. So you're actually not wasting other people's time and concentration and not distracting them. You know, in these days of social media and, you know, all these websites and or services or instant messaging, we've got like to the habit of always reaching out to people. It serves, I think, one good, you know, need that we all have to be connected and to feel as part of one. But at the same time, it hurts a bit our ability to concentrate and the people around us to concentrate. So one step at a time, you can try to just, in a positive way, restrain yourself a bit from engaging people in talks that are not actually just like small talks. You get what I'm saying? So it's quite common, especially in the US, you know, small talk and then just talking about some little things or just discussing things that are not really important to you or not important to the other people, to create this kind of noise and distraction that also brings this kind of cluttered mind that we have. And you can also try to do one thing at a time. It's hard, also for me. I've got used, you know, to multitasking, but you can try to just experience a way of doing one thing at a time. And last but not least, I think you can practice some meditation practices.
Yes, I have.
Because they help a lot, like putting your mind into peace and plant this kind of seed about like very focused and sharp-minded. Okay? Or, yeah.
I have two questions, if that's
Yeah, sure.
possible.
It's awesome.
One's for Helen and one's for you.
Sure.
Because I share your idea My question is, what do you feel when others criticize you?
Yeah, not good.
Not good. Like,
You don't
not
like
good.
it?
No, I don't think I ever liked it.
Yeah, not good in a sense like frustrated or in a specific way.
The need to defend, feeling, a feeling of like insecurity, as the word seems, like you're not secure. The need to fight.
Mm-hmm. I see. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Okay, I just like to, do you have that feeling in other reasons, like not necessarily when others criticize you, but in other situations?
Yeah, yeah, sometimes.
Do you know the reason, like when?
I think sometimes around injustice, I feel that way.
Okay.
Like what feels like injustice, or someone's trying to get away with something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want you to understand because I have similar feeling. So
Yeah.
just to clarify.
You mean you also feel like you're criticizing people a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah. So related to
I just realized, and I want to thank you too. I ask myself, do I criticize people? And when I walk on the street, I see many people, and my mind just keeps, talking to this guy, that guy, So.
So I think that I would like to comment a bit on how this reflects like criticizing. It's obviously reflecting in a way like we feel ourselves depressed and we feel ourselves also being criticized and not being well judged about the things that we do. And it's a kind of a harsh language thing. So it's like we experience situations where people are not happy of us, not necessarily criticizing us, but like just we don't feel worthy. So we don't feel like we're good about other people, and they don't perceive us as a valuable person. So this is our perception that we create with them. I would say, again, think of nobody, you don't need to be happy at the expense of someone else's happiness. And it's a very important concept. A bit distantly related, but still very important, is that resources are not limited. And happiness as well is not limited. So you shouldn't take away someone else's happiness to feel happier, right? And I just like, as I said, it's on a side note, but I want to comment a bit on that because for me it's a very important concept also in business and in work. People have, or we have that habit of thinking that resources are limited, and I need to take something from her, so I have it for myself, and it should be at her expense. But actually, it's like the resources and the abundance is created by giving to others. And even if you look at it very, I'll say this logically, there's a great example that I like because I'm also in the internet industry, and Geshe Michael wrote, use it a lot. It's about, the internet, the backbone of the internet is built on optic fiber, like a specific kind of conductor, something that actually can transfer a lot of information very fast. This optical fiber, like under the whole Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean, and it's made out of sand, just sand. Like glass is made of sand, or specific kind of silicon sand or something like that. I'm not that specialist into that, but actually, it's a great example of how, you know, the whole human race and the civilization has had sand, and now it has an optic fiber, and now we all have an internet. And you know, we are just used to think of internet like something that has always existed or something like that, especially if you're younger. But this is something that has been created, and it's created out of, you know, the willingness of the people to connect with each other and to be good with each other and to, you know, to be united. So not to be separate, not to be pushing away from one from the other. So with all these new things that comes up, like, you know, civilization is not necessarily a bad thing, and it creates a lot of opportunities that just haven't existed before that. So you can think of it like there's not a limited set of resources, even natural resources. There was a very interesting study that, okay, people are depleting nature resources, but they're finding ways to be more and more effective in actually utilizing those resources. So at the end of the day, the resources doesn't become less, they become more productive. So it's a very, very important concept, and it's not hard to just, like, you know, think of it through the day and remember it all the time. You have this feeling of competition that we always want to be, you know, better in something than someone else. But it doesn't necessarily need to be on the same scale. It doesn't need to compete with others. We can help each other and, you know, grow together and reach higher and higher levels together, not like just one at the expense of the other. So we want to create things together. It's very important in work life, as I said, because this is some place where you need to, you know, or you feel like you need to compete a lot for promotion or for internal company resources or for something else. But we can actually create more. So let's say if our company is growing, there are more promotion places. If the people right next to us is struggling, and this is like drowning the company itself, then we may also lose our job because this company is, you know, liquidated or something like that. So in every aspect of our life, this feeling of competition should go away. It's not, as I said, it's not just like this, but you can learn to play the piano, not competing and not stealing or not fighting for other resources. So back on the criticizing thing, it's like we can think of criticizing as a way to compete for, you know, for the opinion of other people about us. So I need to take a bit of his reputation so I can gain a bit of a reputation on my side. But it's not actually me. It was a very long answer.
So is the karma of holding a worldview like that, again, compassion? A lack of compassion in this case. I just get at these questions because I found that there are certain sticking points that, you know, I've been using this kind of technique for a few years. And there's areas that, you know, blossom in these amazing ways. And you're like, what the heck? Like, this is amazing. And then there's areas where it's like desolate desert, and you're like, not working at all. Like, and I wonder, you know, in those areas, is there just not enough compassion? Is there not enough wisdom? And if so, like, what is the cause of that? Because that's important too, you know?
So I would say, like, you know, maybe the most important seed that you can plant is to get the right world perception. So to remember the painting, like where things are coming from. And if you get kind of addicted to the life in the way we've used to live our lives, and for some reasons we don't want to give up to the idea that things are actually coming from us, we get this kind of chaotic mind, and we get this kind of not actually able to achieve or grasp the things that we want to achieve. So as you're actually trying to keep pure and to apply these things, but some of those things are not actually happening, I think that you should still try to check your motivation. Why are you doing that? So it's maybe kind of universal answer, but motivation is one of the most important things. So you and intention, which are kind of closely related. So you are not just doing this like a checklist, right? Okay, so I'm doing good on that and that. This is useful actually. This is part of the the book or the diary that you're taking care of. But still, like, you really want to help everyone to be happy. And if this is your core motivation, this changes your heart a lot, and it helps you, these things where you have blockages, to overcome them. Okay, so can you share a bit more on that? What's your motivation to apply the principles of the
So an area where there's seeming blockages in its finances. I've seen other areas,
in your life?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Because even in my work life, like, some amazing things are happening in terms of my work, but it's not necessarily paired at this moment with finances. But now that you're saying that, like, I look at my work sometimes, and I do see how that's become connected to something more other focused, something more generous, Whereas maybe the finances still, I'm just in a very fearful, self-preservational mentality. Because I do have intellectual ideas of, like, I can't wait to be able to get back on this, but I think my motivations around money are very, like, fear-based still. There's not that much subconscious, like, in my body, just like feeling that I can't wait to share my wealth, as much as right now it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna die, like, I don't have enough money,
Yeah. I know those feelings from the past, let's say. So it's, how to say that, I cannot like comment anything more on that rather than try to respect other people's property in a very, very subtle way. So, even simple things like taking someone else's body spray, or I don't know, like, just like using, but it might be something that you're doing regularly and you actually subconsciously feel bad about it, but still keep doing. So try to think of like ways where or it might not even be on the material level. So you may be wasting someone else's other kind of resources, not necessarily money. And of course, try to be generous in any situation that you can have. And whenever you're making that, like, do it with the technique, as Geshe Michael said. So say, I'm giving this, and I want to see more and more abundance in my life for everybody, including myself, but for everybody. And I often hear like people asking about, isn't it selfish to actually do things intentionally because I want to get something back? But it's actually not, because you're doing something because you want everybody to be good, and you want you yourself to be wealthy and the people around you to be wealthy. So the only way that it can actually work is if you want it that way. You don't want it in a selfish way, because if you want it in a selfish way, you're not actually planting the seed for abundance, but for selfishness, and seeing people around you being selfish. Are you good? Are you cold? Any one of you? No? Yeah?
Okay. The word is coming from within us. It's not coming from outside. But Well, that's the truth, and I agree, but sometimes it's hard to accept, live. Um, in the world, we have war, famine, drought, and disease.
You have war,
War, I mean,
like
in the world.
countries,
Yeah,
fighting each other.
Yeah, normally I don't watch TV just to avoid, this war news, terrorist and these things. But it doesn't what's the karma to stop the war or to change the world.
There's a great thing about that, and it is like we pray for world peace, but we cannot stand our neighbors. I mean, we pray for world peace, but we fight with our neighbors, right? So what's the idea behind that? If you look about some things on a very global or abstract level, it's easy to want it, because as I already said, I have this clear view that any one of us wants people to be happy, ourselves and the people around us. But when it turns out to particular actions that we need to take, we tend to forget about that. So what we really want to do is like to eliminate any kind of fighting and shouting and yelling and preserving the feeling of anger in our hearts. Because this is what actually creates a world where we see wars and we see people hurting each other. So basically, we don't want to hurt each other at all. In any case that you have the opportunity to decide, should I hurt or shouldn't I hurt someone else, choose the second option. And this is only going to create you, or put you or force you to be in a situation where you actually stop seeing people hurting each other. Because war is dead. War is like people have their arguments and they're ready to hurt each other because they feel that their arguments are better than the arguments of the other party. And then take some kind of not good at all actions to achieve what they want. So stop the anger in your heart and stop your willing, not willing, but stop your tendency to hurt other people in any kind of way. I mean, Geshe Michael said when he has been at a retreat that he has achieved such a peaceful and loving state of mind that when the whole world were suffering the 9/11 terroristic attacks here, he has been in a situation where he hasn't heard about that because it hasn't been part of his life at that moment. He has been at a 3-year retreat. What was that? So basically, no talking with anyone else, just other people helping him, bringing him some food, but in a situation where he's completely on his own. He has a lot of time to meditate, to think through things in life, and not interacting with other people. And this, his acts of compassion has put him in a situation where he, at least for a certain moment of time, has missed the 9/11 attacks here. So, as hard as it may sound, but like with 7 million people on the planet, we have 7 billion people. We have 7 billion different worlds that everyone is living in. And you can be like the great hero and the compassion master of your own world. So take care of your world, and you'll see it like your personal world, like becoming a better and a better place, and no worse in it. Whenever you stop keeping anger and hurting other people. I know that maybe you feel like you're not hurting people. Are you?
Sometimes. I don't know. Knowingly or unknowingly, probably, yeah. But I don't think I have people consciously.
Intention is very important, so it's good that you're not doing this intentionally. But as we talked with Hector at the beginning, you can have your like small things that you constantly do that are hurting someone else, or you can have this kind of, very. I mean, I also remember you said that you criticize people, so this is a kind of way of hurting them, right? It's not necessarily like physically, doing a fist fight or something else. It's like making other people feel bad. Rethink through that. I mean, and one important thing, like, as you develop compassion, you become more and more sensitive about things in life. So this doesn't necessarily mean that you've increased this particular thing in your life, but you're currently experiencing it because of your previous seeds that are still ripening. So it's even very possible when you try to actually fix one thing to experience more and more of it until it's finally over. So it's the process when actually these mental seeds are finally opening and they're gone. Like, with the tree that grows, at a certain moment the tree also dies after it has been at its peak. So even if you're not hurting people right now, it could be that you're still spending some of those seeds that you've done in the past. Or even if you're not arguing or fighting with people currently. But be aware of it and trust that it's actually that way. And I'm sure that you'll start seeing less and less wars in people achieving some kind of peace to each other. I'm also not a big fan of news, but I heard recently that President Obama and the Pakistani or the Iranian president has put some kind of peace contract or something like this. I think that, start looking for those things in yourself and in the world around you. Because just to add a side note here, I mentioned about the coffee meditation. So what the idea of the coffee meditation was, it was to, to spend some time, a few minutes through the day, typically when you're going to bed, because your mind is a bit more open at this period of time, to think of the positive things that you've done. Because this is what kind of give them the soil and not the soil, but maybe the sun and the water for them to ripen strongly. So one very, very nice thing here is that you can actually use not just the good deeds that you've done yourself, but you can also be happy and feel happy about the things that other people have done in that direction. So it's, again, as I said, mental donation to the altar of the good things. Yeah, and even if there's a formula that Geshe Michael shares, that you got 10% of the good deeds that you think, even if they're people, if they're done by other people, you still get 10% bonus of their good karma about that, just by the fact that you appreciate the good thing. It's a very, very specific kind of feeling. I don't know, maybe Hector can help with that as well, but it's like when you apply those things, you feel like in a completely different way, like someone is guiding you in a positive way. So I can say it's a different perception of the world. It's a different perception of control of what's actually going on in a good way. Does it sound too distant, or?
Oh, it's good.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a few friends that I worry about because they don't have adequate income or no job. People with no job and they're getting older, and what's going to come of them? What can I advise them? Is it my place to advise them, and what would I advise them?
So the universal formula for anything like that is like try to make them help other people find jobs.
Yeah.
So it may sound strange, they don't have jobs, right?
Yeah.
But they should help other people. But it's not that way really. And you know, some magical things start to happen. Like when they're looking to help someone else for the job that they're looking for, I mean, when they try to help someone else to find the right job for themselves, they actually by accident find the right job for them in a place where they have never been searching for before, right?
Okay.
So yeah, thank you so much for asking that, like about other people and that you want to help them, but it's a funny thing that you can actually help them by asking them to help others about finding a job. So you can, I guess you can say to them, hey Johnny or whoever the guy is or the gal is, I know you don't have a job, but I think it's a good idea to help Peter get a job. Let's try to do something about that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
What a beautiful answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's so good.
Okay. Are you tired already? Honestly? A bit. Let's see what time is it. Because I want to spend a few times meditating. Something very important that I didn't hear today, it might be a good thing, but I still want to make sure that we cover that as well. So do you feel like you have someone at your workplace or in your life that annoys you a lot? Or you don't feel very happy about that person? Yeah? Does everybody has?
Yeah, I meet them every morning when I go to the bathroom. They're in the mirror. It's you.
It will also work. So I'm asking this for various purposes. First, to discuss if there are such kind of situations and you want to share, to discuss the particular situation in detail. But I also have a second thought in a good way. So think of it like, think of a person that you have problems with, that you feel like if you could change them, it would be so awesome, right? So they fit your expectations, or they fit the, you just want not to interfere with them, if you could, but you need to, or something like that. Can I ask everybody to think of such kind of person that they have in their lives? Yeah? Do you have such?
Just in work or in life?
If you can't figure out someone at work, at life, maybe what do you feel is most important for you? I mean, to resolve a situation with that guy. Yeah, take your time, like spend a minute or something.
You can borrow mine if you don't have one. I have a list.
So yeah, please, sincerely, I ask you about that. So just raise your hand when someone is ready. Already having one? Yeah? Do you have one?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. No?
A few.
A few?
Yeah.
Okay, pick one. A few more seconds. Ready?
Just from work.
No. Okay, let's keep the work thing.
Oh.
Yeah, just think of someone in your life who actually annoys you, or you wish they wouldn't existed, or something. It's how much, as harsh as that may sound, right? But let's say a person in your life that is creating you problems and making you feel bad. Ready? Who is still thinking of?
I don't know. I feel like I don't really have someone that I, have that type of, people that, little changes that I'd like to see, but not someone that's totally.
Okay. And if it's because it's more like in the anger perspective, but you can think of it in other ways. Like, do you have someone that you want to improve your relations with? Like,
Yeah.
you feel that you don't have very good relations with them and you want to improve it. Yeah. Okay. So pick that one. Okay, everybody ready? Yeah? Okay, so I would ask you some now for maybe 10 minutes to do a beautiful meditation called Tonglen. So, have any one of you heard about that? Yeah? Tonglen? So, it's about receiving and giving, but it's a special kind of receiving, and it's receiving of suffering. So, if I can ask you, like, please close your eyes and get into comfortable position, whatever it may be for you. It may not be a lotus position, just a way that you feel relaxed and nothing aches in your body. So you can breathe easily, and you can smile, and you can be aware of your body. And now let's transfer our attention to the tip of the nose and the edges of the nose. Now gently breathe out through the nose, and then breathe in. And start to feel how there's a little temperature difference. The air that you breathe out is a bit more warm. And the air that you breathe in is a bit colder. And try to empty your mind. If any kind of thoughts arise in your mind, just bring it back to the nostrils. And now let's try to count to 10 cycles, starting with breathing out first, and then breathing in. Our mind got distracted about something. Just try to bring it back and start counting from 1 again. And our goal is to reach 10. How are you doing? And are you doing good with that? Don't get upset. Just try to bring back your mind to the tip of your nose, to your nostrils, and feel the flow of the air. Your body is full of blue, white light. Like there are no flesh and bones, like your full body is full of light. It's almost like transparent. It's all light. It's full of light. Feel this kind of light flowing through your body. And now bring your attention to the center of the chest. Where the heart chakra is. And imagine how in that body full of light, you hit a beautiful red rose. This rose is a symbol of compassion. Compassion that you have about the people around you. People that meet in your life. No matter how close or far they are from you. Your willingness everyone to be happy. This is the beautiful, beautiful rose that you have in the middle of your chest. And then imagine how at the center of the flower you have a beautiful small diamond. This diamond is the symbol of wisdom. The ultimate understanding about how things works and where they come from. It's shining with very intensive light that fills all of your body. Now imagine how the person that you picked earlier is standing in front of you. They might be in a typical situation in their life and they don't actually feel you, but you feel and see them. Think of a problem that that person has. Maybe in their work, in their personal life, or health, or something else. Look at that person, and now for a moment think that they're somebody's child. They have parents who love them, who have given everything they could to help their children grow to be the man or woman they currently are. And they are full of love. And now think back again about that person. See them in a situation that you know they are suffering. And now you can start thinking of how this suffering, no matter what kind of problem it is starting to gather as a small cloud of dark matter, like smoke, that is grayish or black, and is getting more and more intense. Like all their suffering is condensed to the place of their heart. The suffering can be a problem that they have with financials, with their spouse, or with health, or with anything else that makes them feel uneasy, that prevents them from ultimate love and happiness. And now feel your body and your heart and this beautiful rose in the diamond at its core, with the willingness to help them, with the willingness to take away their suffering completely erase and remove any kind of suffering from them, from their body and mind and emotions. And now see how this kind of small cloud of smoke, dark breeze, or black smoke has already started to go up from their heart to their throat and is starting to get out of their nose and staying right in front of them. Now again, think of your motivation to help them and that you want them to feel like ultimate happiness, love, and fulfillment. And without any kind of fear, make a strong decision that you're gonna take that away. You have the strength that comes from the compassion and the wisdom to destroy their suffering. And using your breathing cycles, whenever you breathe in, see how the small dark cloud is moving away slowly from their nose, close in front of your face, and it's approaching your nose. Don't feel scared of it. The strength of the diamond you have in your heart is so big that it can destroy it immediately. So, as the cloud, the small cloud is approaching closer and closer, feel yourself of determination that you're gonna destroy that once and for all. And now prepare yourself, still not doing it, just preparing yourself to breathe in these small clouds. And at the moment when you breathe in, imagine how it goes down through your throat, right through the center of the chest, to your heart chakra, where the rose, the beautiful red rose, and the diamond are. And in the moment when the smoke touches the diamond, imagine how in just a minute, in just a moment, it destroys completely the dark smoke. There's nothing left. There's a flash of light that completely destroys this dark black smoke. So let's do it right now if you haven't already done it. So just do yourself with determination, with love and wisdom and strength. And this small cloud that is other people, this person suffering, is going to be completely destroyed. If you feel that there's anything left inside you, don't worry about that. Imagine how with a few more breathing cycles, you're bringing all the noise to the diamond at the center of your heart, and it's completely destroying it in the moment it touches it. When you feel like you're completely done with that, look again at the person. They don't even know what happened. Don't they feel easy? Do you feel smiling? Do you feel completely happy? It's like a huge burden has been taken away of their shoulders, and they feel the real joy of life. And all their pain and suffering has gone away. So now think what these people really want to achieve in life in a very pure way, without hurting or messing with other people, like their complete ultimate goal and desire. Imagine how a golden ray of light is coming out from your heart, their heart, and you're giving them without taking it from yourself. You're just generating for them everything that they want to achieve in life. So you send this to them, and if they feel more and more happy and complete and fulfilled and energetic, and now imagine how their body and their heart are full of that light, of that love, of that accomplishment. And you can stop the ray from your heart. Spend a few moments of thinking the good deed that you just done. See them happy, like their eyes are shining, their smiles are shining. And you feel so happy about them. Any kind of pain or suffering that they've experienced has gone. They are pure and full of joy. And you see yourself as the good hero that every one of us wants to be. We don't just want wealth and relationships and achievements for ourselves, but we want to help others achieve their goals and reach happiness in a more gentle and non-hurting for others way. We are those heroes, and they are those heroes. And now we can spend just a few more minutes of thinking how everyone that you can see brings with himself or herself the desire to help others. No matter in what situation or position they are, they want others to feel happy, to feel loved, to feel supported. imagine a world full of abundance for all, where everyone gets what they need. And whenever you feel ready, with a big, big smile, you can move your hands or legs a bit, depending on what position you are. And slowly, slowly and gently, open your eyes. Do you feel good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Can you explain a bit on the kind of feelings you have? If anyone wants. I know it's a bit hard to talk after meditation sometimes. But keep this feeling of, like sincere willingness to help other people. Because even when we have arguments with other people, we really want everyone, including they and us, to be happy and to be fulfilled. So, in your daily life situations, just use the chance to remember that. And use the chance to remember that we actually want to help others. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And I don't know if we need to, I think in a few minutes we need, to leave the hall. But, if you want anything else to just talk about, and I'm still here, it can be more informal. It's really even with just a few people, for me it's very happy to be here and have the opportunity to do that. Because I know that, and I do hope that you apply those things in your life. I can't promise it will become immediately. I think the only thing that we can hit immediately is changing our hearts in a certain direction. So when we first grasp a concept, and if it really touches our heart, this is the moment when the change starts. And it starts, but it takes time to accumulate more and more of those. So, have the courage, don't get discouraged, and apply those principles. Try to think of all the things that we see as coming from ourselves. And it's a great pleasure to know that the things in ourselves, in our life, are under our control in a good way. Because this allows us to put away any kind of fear that we may feel in our lives. Because fear is related to uncertainty, and if we have, this kind of understanding that we can actually change things in our lives, and we can create our own lives and our own worlds, it eliminates fear. Because I believe fear is one of the strongest destroyers of good deeds. It's a motivator in a bad way for a lot of bad deeds that we do. And this fear comes from the misunderstanding that we should try to change the world or fight for something that's outside of our own perceptions and our own control and our own needs. Okay? So no fear, as the popular brand says. I still don't want to feel really distant, and feel free to approach me. I think I'm not really bringing my business cards with me, but my name, I can write it down. My name is Georgi, is my first name, and my family name, surname is Kadrev. So, you know, if you want to add me on Facebook or LinkedIn or someone else and you want to discuss something, if you feel that I might be helpful at all, just feel free to do so. So yeah, I'll be here if you want. Thank you.
Georgi, we'll also have your name up on the 3 Joules Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll just post the video from today there as well. So if
Thanks
people
so much.
want to go on there, you can connect.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
See you. Bye.
Thank you so much for sharing and coming here.
What's your last name?
Kadrev. It's Kadrev.
Oh, I found it.